In this lesson we're going to create the shader for our cheese board. So I'm going to select the board and go to assign favorite material and a new AI standard. So what we'll do with this one, call this cheese board. Okay, and it's going to be wood, so we're going to use similar settings to what we did before. We've got a separate texture map that we've created for this one. So diffuse color, we're going to map that with a file and just click on cheese board color TIFF, open. Okay, and let's have a look at the render view here. Let's just make sure the gamma's on 2.2. You shouldn't have to do this, it's just because I restarted my Maya. And I'll just make sure that they're on the region here, maybe on this region here. Okay. So the reason the color is so dark is because we're going to add specular to this. So let's go to the shader. And as we've said before, we need to have a nice contrasty specular. So what I'm going to do is map the weight again, and I'm going to map that with a file. And it's going to be the same file again, so cheeseboard color. And what we're going to do is, you can see that it hasn't taken on board the alpha is luminance, so you just have to come down to alpha is luminance and turn that on. Let's just have a look at this. Oh yeah, we need to turn the color down, so it's on 1, so it's on the maximum amount. So let's change this down to something like 0.3. like that, and we're just going to take the roughness a little bit less rough because we want this to be a bit shinier, so it's not as rough as this one. So what we'll do is we'll just make this a bit more kind of shiny, so I'm going to go around to about 2.7 because I want this kind of hot spot here. I don't want this area to necessarily be too shiny. Okay, so that's the sort of level that that I want, and you can adjust this if you want to. You can tint it a different color, or you can take the texture into an editing program like Photoshop and tint it a different color if you want to. If you want a different color wood, so you can desaturate it if you want to make it look a bit more like this wood. I've just done a different color so that it looks different. The other thing that I wanted to change was this board is a bit too sharp, so it's very harsh in terms of the straight lines. So I'm just going to smooth this because it will look a lot nicer if I've got rounded edges on this. So let's just go ahead and let's do it the easy way by selecting it and press 3, and then we'll have a look at what that looks like. Okay, so this is what we've got, and you can see that we've got rounded edges now, so it looks a little bit more organic, so it looks a bit nicer. So if you wanted to have less reflections on this, you can do that if you want to. Mine's is fairly new, so this board is not supposed to be too old, whereas this is supposed to be a bit older. So if you can adjust that on your cheese board shader. So just to reiterate what we did, we mapped the diffuse with a color, and it's going to be a file texture. And this is it here. Make sure you update your scene if you have got your render view already open so that the colors are accurate. So just click on that and it will re-export your TX files and make sure everything's accurate in terms of the color. So once we've got that, we can map the specular weight with the same texture. And in that file, we just go down to alpha is luminance and turn that on, and then you'll get the little breakup that goes on here in this texture. I might just make the roughness a bit wider just so it goes a bit further, maybe just a little bit further. So let's just make this a bit rougher. So we get a bit more reflection. Okay, so that's what we've got. So don't forget to save